Thank you again, everyone, for joining us on the webinar today. My name is Yuli, and I will be the host of the event today. So traditional chatbot has been around since the 1960s. So you're probably wondering, what is the difference between this traditional chatbot with multimodal generative AI assistant? So what is new? What is the underlying technology that is being used to develop this solution? And you will learn all of that, and you will understand also on how you can experiment using the technology from this webinar session today. Okay, so stay tuned until the end because we will show you the demo as well. If you have any questions during our presentation, feel free to type your question and send it through the Q&A window. So there is a Q&A window button over there. So type your questions over there and we will answer them throughout the presentation. And then at the end, we will also select the question that we receive and we will give the answer as well verbally. Okay, so with that said, let's get started. So we want to start with a poll here. So you can answer this in the Q&A. What is the situation around generative AI assistant at your company? Is the hype is high, execution is pending, then give an answer of A. Or are you doing a lot of POC but not much in production? Or are you already seeing a lot of this generative AI application in production right now? So type your answers in the Q&A window. Great, I start seeing none of the above. So I saw some of the answers, none of the above. So I don't know what that means. So some are in hype, but then no longer in execution. Or some are in scaling already, so that's good. Some are in a lot of are in C, a lot of POC, not much in production, a lot of hype. Think most of the people are either in C or A, and several that are in D. Thank you for giving us this feedback. So I think this webinar is perfect, and it will give you the information that you need. Either you are early in your journey or you are already scaling, because this is going to be very valuable for you. Okay, so let's get started. So meet our presenters here. I'm going to ask our presenters to show their beautiful face this morning. We have Emily, our partner, CIO from Loka here. And we have Raj as well, who is the solution architect for this particular solution. And we have Feda, a solution architect from our Amazon Nova team. Thank you everyone for joining us today. So these presenters and our support team will be providing the answers to your questions in the Q&A throughout this presentation. With that said, I will hand it over now to Emily.
Thank you, Yuli, and thanks everyone for spending some time with us this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from the world. We're really excited to talk more about Nova, and more generally, I think about a lot of the trends that we're seeing in the generative AI space. So as Yuli mentioned, I'm Chief Innovation Officer at Loka. Loka is a premier tier partner with AWS. We've been helping companies ranging in size from startups to Fortune 500 companies launch their innovations for more than 20 years. And over the past 2 years or so, we've really been focused on generative AI and helping to support the AWS ecosystem in this space. So Loka is one of the top generative AI consulting partners with AWS. We won Innovation Partner of the Year last year with AWS for a lot of the work that we've been doing in the generative AI space. And to date, we've worked with more than 300 customers globally to help them build their POCs and also to launch the majority of those into a production environment. So those of you who are saying lots of POCs but not yet production, I think we have some tips today to help you get out of that sort of POC purgatory, so to speak. So we want to start off by talking about some different trends that we're seeing, in the Gen AI space. And so, as Yuli mentioned, chatbots have been around for a long time. More specifically, even, Gen AI chatbots have been around kind of since, the beginning of this paradigm shift a little over 2 years ago. And Loka started working in this space, at that time, before there was quite the same rich ecosystem that we have today on AWS. And at that time, probably 80% of the workloads that we were doing, the ideas that we were having were chatbots. They were, retrieval augmented generation or RAG, a lot of sort of standard patterns. And I think what's really exciting is this next generation of models that's been emerging over the last 6 to 12 months has really been evolving the impact that these models can have on organizations, and really expanded the round of use cases beyond just kind of this chatbot paradigm. So we've broken down sort of the trends we see into 4 categories. You may have others, but I think they're good illustrations and might get your mind working on other ways to think about using these next generation models, in your business. So the first is efficiency. I think one of the strongest powers of generative AI today is in repeating repetitive human tasks. And that doesn't necessarily mean, say, replacing humans, but more, giving us superpowers or, potentially just avoiding and automating a lot of things that are rote, boring, repetitive work. I think a great example of this is a customer that we had who's in the life sciences space, and has strong regulatory requirements around what can be published based on FDA and FTC requirements. And they had a regulatory team of 4 or 5 people really focused on just looking at these marketing content that was submitted by their customers, making sure that it was okay, saying yes or no. And we were able to automate that with sort of more than 80% accuracy and just have say, yes, it's okay, no, it's not okay. And that middle 20% send that to humans. So there's less of this manual review. We're seeing a lot of value in this space. The next is around, consistency. And I think, consistency and efficiency have some overlap. But when I say consistency, I'm really thinking about how can you create better quality outcomes for customers, for your internal stakeholders, and avoid variability in those outcomes. So, one of my favorite examples here is one of our customers that's working on intake for patients in ER. So using voice to be able to help do intake of these customers, automatically updating records so that doctors, nurses, others that are interacting with these patients have the accurate information, and there's nothing kind of lost from a time perspective in terms of manually entering that intake data, or from a quality perspective in terms of getting it incorrect. The next trend we're seeing is in intelligence. So intelligence, of course, is helping us to interpret data, to derive insights from data. We're seeing a lot of improvements in the ability for natural language querying, in particular, which has been around for a while, but has really improved, especially in looking at complex, analysis, being able to interpret multimodal data. And I think so. Here we're seeing, of course, this capability being embedded in SaaS products in areas like semantic search, for instance. We're also seeing it impact areas ranging from, helping barbershops, people who may be less technically adept interpret their own data inside of SaaS products, or help financial advisors to be able to provide better outcomes for their customers. And then finally, differentiation. And obviously, pretty much everything that you can do with generative AI is hopefully, differentiating in some way. But for this category, I'm specifically talking about SaaS and software products, where we see a lot of value in being able to differentiate these products by, for instance, onboarding the customer, or automating rather the customer onboarding process. So for instance, rather than having to go through dozens or hundreds of screens to be able to onboard a new customer and set up their profiles and their experience correctly, there can be iterative experiences with these GenAI assistants to be able to automatically set these up based on kind of chat-based intake, or being able to provide an intake form that then interprets that and provides better experiences. And we're seeing this across the SaaS experience, including in terms of things that maybe took many clicks and many screens to be able to get to an outcome, being able to use natural language to be able to actually accelerate the use of these products and make them more easier to use, faster to use, and sort of more embedded in the day-to-day workflows through use of agents and other sort of next generation technologies. So multimodal is a really key point, I think, of these next generation models. So when you say multimodal, this basically means we can use lots of different kinds of inputs. It can understand text, it can understand images, it can understand video, it can understand speech. The next generation of model not only understands these as inputs, but can also provide outputs in these spaces. And we can see a lot of interchange between different modalities, essentially. So, speech to speech, text to images, videos to text. And you can imagine that the rich use cases that this can unlock in terms of interoperability and impact for your customers and for your kind of internal employees. And so, of course, when we're talking about Nova, today that's a key area of strength, for the Nova models. One point I will make also in the multimodal space is that we're seeing a lot of value in not just using one of these models, but using them together to be able to unlock more powerful use cases. So this may be two large foundation models that are working in tandem, but it also can be more traditional models. So for instance, with models like Nova in the video or image space, we're seeing computer vision being a good tandem model to be able to create better outcomes, or transcription, traditional transcription services being used in conjunction with Claude to be able to interpret speech, et cetera. So we did another quick poll. So here, same idea, put it in the Q&A, what percentage of your company really understands the value, that is able to bring to their daily work. And I think the genesis behind this is that, in all the work that Loka is doing, the work that AWS is doing, we're seeing lots and lots of value in line of business use cases. So say not things that are coming out of your IT department or engineering team per se, although those are also valuable, but maybe also use cases that come out of marketing or customer success, et cetera. And making sure that people really can understand these models at a baseline is important for being able to unlock the true value inside of the company. So Loka runs sessions. We just ran one last week, for instance, with one of our customers that had more than 40 different people from across the company in the room. For this company, that was probably about a third or fourth or more of the company, really digging in, trying to understand how the generative AI works and how that it may be able to be applied. Of course, the viral outcomes that we saw in the Shopify, mandate, which many of you may have seen over the last couple of weeks, also implies that all of the employees at Shopify need to understand the value that can be unlocked. So we're seeing, I think, 50-50, in terms of you think your company understands or can bring value, which is great. It's mixed. I think there's always more to learn in this space. It's evolving. And so when we're thinking about how do you unlock value and where can you get blocked, in terms of generative AI adoption, we want to just share a few insights before we kind of get on to the exciting kind of demo, and Nova-based information. So the areas where we see a lot of our customers get stuck, are kind of labeled here. Some of these are obvious, right? Data readiness, just because large language models and foundation models can handle large amounts of unstructured text doesn't mean that your data can't be well prepared, centralized, maybe normalized in some way in order to be able to get better outcomes. So making sure that you're choosing use cases where your data is ready and maybe working on the data readiness for those where it's less prepared and thinking about stage approaches for rollout. Security and governance is huge. Loka does about 50% of our work in the healthcare and life sciences space, and works a lot with regulated data and financial services and other sectors as well. Really thinking through what are you able to use and not able to use? What do you have permissions to use or train models on? How can you create isolation? Of course, Amazon really building with these security and principles up in mind up front, with products like Bedrock and SageMaker helps to simplify that, but you still need to think about your own organization, make sure that these are set up and configured correctly. Internal champions, of course, is a huge piece. And then, making sure that you're ROI positive. And so I have this on kind of both lists, because I think if there's one single thing to take away from choosing a generative AI use case, it's one that you can clearly measure. It has a metric and you can be able to understand whether or not it's making impact on your business, and whether or not it's worth maybe the additional spend you're spending on cloud and infrastructure, et cetera, to be able to support this use case. So starting with targeting low-hanging fruit, thinking about filling your gaps with partners. Amazon has a great ecosystem of both consulting partners like Loka and also ISV partners that are creating great tooling. And then you're leveraging the AWS ecosystem as a whole, great tooling that exists, but also best-in-class models, like Nova, that are able to help to accelerate the adoption of these use cases and make sure that you're getting great results. So that'll hand it back to Yuli and talk a little bit more about Nova, in particular. Yuli, you're on mute, I think.
Okay. Okay, now I'm not on mute. Thank you, Emily. Before we dive deep into looking at the technology, I want to give a context first, set the context first to make sure that we're in the same page. right? So as Emily mentioned, we recommend our customers to start with a business impact. Understand what they would like to achieve with generative AI so that you would be able to get the business approval to put the generative AI application in production, right? And you need to estimate also the potential ROI. So Georgia Pacific is one of these companies that is laser focused on improving their workers' productivity. And they were able to accomplish that goal and save millions of dollars by implementing a generative AI assistant. So the solution that they implement consolidate the knowledge from digital documents, from maintenance record, and data from over 500,000 of IoT sensors. They have a lot of these newer machine operators that they need to train. And this solution provided the on-the-job support that those machine operators need. So this generative AI assistant providing the operators with faster access to critical information. They were able to reduce the time that it takes to repair the machine and help all these workers, some of them are new with the machines, to be more productive. So this is just some of the examples that Georgia Pacific is using, right? Some of the queries that they have, right? They are using structured data from database such as SQL, graph, time series, and unstructured data from PDF document. And here are some of the queries that they have. How do I bypass a refiner? Why is my caliper currently low, right? But the challenges that Georgia Pacific face is not only specific to them. It is in fact relevant across many different industry. We are working with a customer in the service industry, and they typically ask their sandwich artists to watch tens of hours of training video to understand how to prepare sandwiches. How many scoop of turkey, and what is the oven temperature, right? And they realize, those knowledge are not always retained 100% fully, right? Because there are many different combination and there are many information that they need to understand, right? So they are now working to implement this multi-modal generative AI assistant based on their video training as well as instruction manual. So indeed, 80% of enterprise data exists as unstructured information across documents, images, audio, and video. And there is an increased demand for a unified experience that eliminate this siloed system. They, we hear more and more from different teams. They would like to work with the information across different formats and across different sources. So this multi-modal generative AI assistant is the solution to help with that, right? So it's provide instant role-specific guidance and accurate information with the source citation, right? It will provide you with the exact video clip on where you can find the information. It's providing 24/7 on-demand information. It's providing task-specific answers and troubleshooting support. And it's definitely a much better and more efficient alternative compared to watching tens or hundreds of hours of video tutorials or reading manual. So with this multimodal generative AI assistant, you can receive text or speech as input, and you can provide text as well as speech as output. And the reference source can also be provided as in the output as a video or audio clip. So let's do a quick poll here. What can multimodal generative AI assistant do? Select all the information that applies. Put your answers in the chat window. What can multimodal generative AI assistant do? I see a lot of E. Is E the correct answer? Is E the correct answer? I saw A, C, and D. I saw B. Okay. Okay. This is good. This is good. We're getting to think a little bit more here, right? So the correct answer is A. analyze image and provide detailed description of their contents, right? I mentioned, right? It is able to analyze image, right? And the other correct answer is C. It is able to answer questions about the video. And also D, because in the multimodal generative AI assistant that we will show you, it has agentic capability. So you can assign for tasks to be done, right? The not so correct answer is B, predict probability of churn. So typically how it is being done with predicting probability of churn is we build a supervised machine learning model, right? If you have the churn identifier, right, then you would be able to build a supervised model, right? There is maybe capability of doing some unsupervised clustering with embedding model, right? But by all means, if you have the tag, the indicator for churn, you want to build a probability models using supervised model. Okay, great. Okay, so that's hopefully help us to understand a bit more, right? So now that you understand what is this multimodal generative AI assistant, right? And you would be able to answer confidently, right? When somebody asks you, hey, Yuli, what is the multimodal generative AI assistant? You would be able to answer perfectly, right? Now we want to go over what is the underlying technology that is being used, right? So the underlying technology that we are showing you today is Amazon Bedrock. So what is this Amazon Bedrock? Amazon Bedrock is a fully managed service for building and scaling generative AI. With Amazon Bedrock, you have access to high-performing foundation models, which I will show you in the next slide. And you can easily experiment with those foundation models. You can customize it using RAG technique, fine-tuning, or you can also create managed agent to execute complex business tasks without writing any code. So what is good also is Amazon Bedrock is serverless. You don't have to manage any infrastructure. It's just one unified API call to get access to all of this model. And you are always in control of your data. None of the data is going to be used to train the foundation model. And you can also apply guardrail to ensure that your deployment is fully aligned within the responsibility AI. Okay, so I will go through this very quickly. So this is some of the examples of the models that are being made available over here. So if you're interested with DeepSeek, DeepSeek was big, before, right, in couple of months ago. So you can also evaluate this as well within Amazon Bedrock. And what we are going to cover in more details today is regarding Amazon Nova model. Right? So Amazon Nova model is the model that we launched back in December 2024, and I will give you a little bit more information regarding that model. Okay, so what is very beneficial for our a lot of the organization that we work with is that they would be able to experiment with this wide range of foundation model. In Bedrock, you will be able to evaluate this foundation model in terms of accuracy, latency, and cost for your specific use case. And then you would be able to make a data-driven decision which model that you want to use for which different use case. So Emily, I think mentioned, right? It is becoming more common to use multiple type of models or foundation models even within a use case, right? So I was recently working with a customer, right? And they were developing a generative AI assistant, this multi-model generative AI assistant, and they broke it down into two tasks, right? The first task is query rewriter. The second task is for answer generator. And they use Amazon Nova for the query rewriter, and they use Cloud 3.7 from Anthropic for the answer generator. They're doing this so that they can get the best price performance. Okay, so Amazon Nova, as I mentioned, we launched it back in December 2024. So we introduced this Amazon Nova because we heard from our customers that they want to continue to reduce costs as they scale and as their adoption of generative AI grow. So in addition to customers wanting to reduce costs, they also want a lower latency and they want to have an ease of support from a model provider. So this Amazon Nova is developed to mitigate all of these challenges, right? So we're striving to provide better price performance with Amazon Nova, and Amazon Nova provides a better IP indemnity so that you have more security and peace in mind, that you won't be sued, right? As you are developing and innovating with generative AI. So this Amazon Nova is actually not new for Amazon. So internally within Amazon, we have been using Amazon Nova in many different area. Alexa Plus is using Amazon Nova. And if you watch Amazon Prime video and there is a summarization of, the video, I watch Korean drama. I saw that the Amazon Prime is showing me a summary of the video, right, of the movie before I choose to watch it or not, right? And also Amazon Nova is being used in the Amazon ads, that is enabling our small business owner, right? So what we found is that, for example, right? So when an advertiser or a small business owner in Amazon platform, they were introducing a product, right? And they put it the standalone image of the product in a white background. It's typically not producing that much click, right? However, it is being placed in a lifestyle context in a kitchen counter next to a croissant. They found the click-through rates is actually 40% higher. And all of this capability is powered by Amazon Nova. With that said, okay, let's go through quickly. What type of Amazon Nova models available? We have three types of model: text understanding, content generation, and speech to speech. Okay, so what we will focus on today is just the Amazon Nova understanding model and Amazon Nova Sonic. Amazon Nova Canvas and Real are the one that is being used by the Amazon ads, generation, but we will not cover it today. Okay, let's go through quickly on Amazon Nova understanding model. We have four different type of Amazon Nova understanding model. Amazon Nova Micro is just text to text. It's not multimodal. The multimodal is Amazon Nova Lite, Amazon Nova Pro, and what is coming soon, which is Amazon Nova Premier. With Amazon Nova Micro, this is perfectly suited if you have very high volume and speed and efficiency are very critical. So this model perform equal or better on 13 out of 13 benchmark versus Llama and 12 out of 12 of the benchmark versus Gemini. Nova Lite, it takes in text, image, document. It is so suitable for a wide variety of applications where cost is also a key consideration. Amazon Nova Mic Pro is more intelligence, right? And based on the benchmark, is performing either equal or better on 18 out of 20 of the benchmark compared to GPT-4o, or equal or better on the 18 out of 22 benchmark for Gemini. If you are interested with all of this benchmark, we can share with you the information as well. Okay, put in your question in the Q&A if you would like to get the benchmark and we can distribute that information. Okay, but I will not go over that in detail for the purpose of time in this discussion. So we have our customers already leaning in to use this Amazon Nova. Jobcase made an announcement from their CEO that they are migrating from some of the different models that they were using to Amazon Nova, specifically for their metadata extractions related to job description, right? Because of it give them the speed that they need, and it also comes with a very cost-effective price. Um, Trellix is also using generative AI for cybersecurity threat, and they found Amazon Nova to be 3 times faster and 100 times cheaper. So, and it is providing the same decision for 70% of the decision that they need, right? So they are able to basically take advantage and reduce their costs. So when you want to have a very fast application, right? Think of Nova. Nova is faster than DeepSeek. Okay, so evaluate Nova, right? There are a lot of benchmark out there in terms of in terms of performance, right? But what we recommend, you experiment by yourself. Evaluate this model for your specific use case based on your important metrics. You can do this evaluation in Bedrock. And if you want to compare with other models that are not in Bedrock, you can also use this open source tool which is called FlowTorch. If you are interested for this comparison open source tool as well, send us your questions in the Q&A and we can give you the link, right? The bottom line is that experiment, evaluate, make data-driven decision for your specific use case, right? And you can do all of that with, the within Bedrock or with the open source tool that we can share with you. Okay, so I will go over Amazon Nova Sonic a little bit here before we jump into the demo, right? So Amazon Nova Sonic is providing speech-to-speech capability. And I want to highlight 3 things regarding Amazon Nova Sonic. So the first one is latency. So Amazon Nova Sonic provides reduction in latency if you would like to incorporate speech-to-speech application. In the past, typically, right, the speech would need to be converted into text, and then from text, it is converted back to speech, right? So this problem is now solved with Sonic. So you can go directly from speech to speech without having to go through convert it into text first, right? So allowing you to get lower latency. That's number one. Number two, Nova Sonic enables conversation flow with very good handling of interruption. For example, I think in the demo, Raj will show you, how good Novasonic is in handling the interruption, right? It can even mimic your pauses, your and your ah, right? So number 3, Novasonic can match the emotion of the speaker. If the speaker that Novasonic is talking to is enthusiastic, it will match that enthusiastic tone. And it will use a more empathetic tone when dealing with unfortunate situation. For example, if you meet your package, right, you want a generative AI assistant that is more empathetic, right? I'm sorry to know that your package is missing or something like that, right? So I will now hand it over to Raj, right? So Raj, now you can take over the control, right? Before Raj start, right, I want to recap what we learned today because we learned quite a bit, right? We learned regarding multimodal generative AI assistant, and we learned the underlying technology that can be used to build this application. Amazon Bedrock, Amazon Nova, right? So not only companies that benefited from this application, right? But we as individual can benefit as well, right? So when I started working for AWS, at that time, generative AI was not very prevalent, right? So I remember that I had to watch, 10 of hours of video training. I don't know whether it's 10 of hours or hundreds of video training, right? It's a lot. Basically, we are given 3 months to learn regarding all the AWS services, and there's a lot of them because there are more than 200 services, right? And it was quite overwhelming. I have to review those videos and then go through the documentations, right? And with this multimodal generative AI assistant, I don't have to do that anymore, right? I can ask the question, right? And I can get exactly the answer that I need and the exact source, which video clip that contains that information. Okay, so now I will hand it over to Raj to go over the demo. Go ahead, Raj.
Thank you, Yuli. Let me quickly share my screen and we'll get started with the demo. Let me know if you can't see my screen and let's get going. All right. So we wanted to show a demo that highlights the features that we touched upon today. That includes speech-to-speech, multimodal Q&A, and agentic workflow orchestration. We'll start with Amazon Nova Sonic speech-to-speech functionality first. Amazon Nova Sonic represents a truly conversational AI that processes and responds to speech in real time, just like a human would. Nova Sonic will immediately begin processing my speech, as you'll see in the demo quickly, in real time through its bidirectional streaming API. Now, unlike traditional speech system that will wait for complete utterances, Nova Sonic processes speech as it happens, as it hears the user talk, enabling truly conversational interaction. Now, let's hear this in action. I'll log into my application using Cognito, and this application is powered by Amazon Bedrock. So it is based on Amazon Bedrock features and services like Amazon Nova Sonic, Amazon Bedrock Data Automation, and Amazon Bedrock Agents. Now, once I log in, I can either start asking questions based on the existing data that I already have that the application can query, or I can enable Nova Sonic and I can talk to Sonic about my questions.
Hey Sonic, how are you?
Hey there. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How can I help you today?
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I'm here to assist you with any questions or issues you might have. What's on your mind today?
So I just logged into my AWS console, but I can't find my S3 buckets.
I see. That can be frustrating. Have you checked if the buckets are in the correct region? Sometimes they might.
I did. I tried in different regions, but I can't find them. I was able to see them yesterday.
Well, let's try a couple of things. First, have you checked if the buckets are set to private or public? Sometimes visibility settings can affect whether you can see
I
them.
don't think that's the issue here.
All right, let's try something else. Have you checked the bucket policies to see if there are any restrictions? Sometimes policies can prevent access to the buckets.
Those look good too.
Understood. Let's see if there's any issue with your I am permissions. Have you checked if
Oh,
your user...
wait. Actually, I found them. They're in a different AWS account. Yep.
Oh, that makes sense. Sometimes we overlook the obvious. Glad you found them. If you need help with anything else in the future, feel free to reach out.
Now, in this demo, you would have noticed how gracefully Nova Sonic handled different interruptions that came from it. This is a key feature of the model. So Nova Sonic can process interruptions without losing any conversational context. Now, traditionally, voice assistants could either ignore the interruptions or completely restart their response, giving a totally different user experience. But Nova Sonic maintains context and adjusts its responses accordingly. You're also seeing Nova Sonic pause naturally, waiting for my input. And this demonstrates the model's ability to recognize conversational cues and automatically adapt its behavior accordingly. And not only just interacting with the user, Nova Sonic is enabled to leverage tool use capabilities to fetch data and execute actions. So behind the scenes, Nova Sonic function calling ability can interact with external systems. So this way, Nova Sonic can refer to your business data, which could be in a knowledge base or a database, and have data-driven interaction with users. And not just retrieving information, with tool use, Sonic can invoke an agent to orchestrate a workflow or invoke a function to execute a certain task. So this way, you can interact with Nova Sonic to get tasks accomplished. Now, the next part of the demo would focus on multimodal Q&A with Bedrock Data Automation. I'm going to upload a video about creating Bedrock agents. And behind the scenes, this video is processed by Bedrock Data Automation, which extracts text, recognizes visual elements, and creates a comprehensive textual understanding of the video content. BDA, that is Bedrock Data Automation, can handle various file types, and that includes documents, images, audio, and as we're demonstrating right here, video content as well. For video specifically, Bedrock Data Automation extracts the text that appears in the video, transcribes spoken content, and can even identify key scenes and objects. Now, this creates a rich, searchable representation of the video content, and you can still upload documents, images, audio, and Bedrock Data Automation can extract textual insights from those sources as well. Now, I'll ask some questions about the content in the video and let's see how the application responds. I'll start with asking a question about how to create Bedrock agents.
Welcome. My name is Mark Roy, and I'm a principal ML specialist solution. Then the agent. There's a full API to invoke the agent as well as create agents as well. So in this case, I did pricing and packages, demo, and Q&A. You notice it came back.
And you'll notice how the application provides a detailed answer to my question based on actual facts. That is the video that we just uploaded. Now, along with the detailed answer, it also provides two critical elements. One is the citation to the actual video, where each piece of information is linked back to its exact source. For example, video in this case. So this actually helps you build trust with your customers and your AI, generative AI-powered application, showing where the information came from. Also, the answers contains precise timestamps. So instead of having to watch the entire video, I can jump directly to the relevant sections. And this timestamp-based interaction dramatically improves the efficiency of information retrieval. Circling back to what Yuli mentioned, users do not have to watch hundreds of different videos or browse through thousands of documents to get to the information they need. They can use generative AI and Bedrock data automation-based application, something like this here, to get to their information, slice and dice the data as exactly as you want, and get to your information easily and quickly. Behind the scenes, the application is
results it got back, and then it takes another step, comes back with some result.
Behind the scenes, the application is leveraging Bedrock knowledge bases, which uses retrieval augmented generation. And retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, enhances the model's response with information from the processed video or from any kind of document or any kind of text-based source that we provided. The knowledge base converts the extracted content into vector embeddings, allowing for semantic search and retrieval of the most relevant information. So your users are provided with the most accurate data based on data. Now I'll try asking some additional questions in the application here.
Determines that it's got enough information.
Now, we asked about what customer name was used in this demo and when it was shown. And you'll notice that the answer, again, contains a link to the source as well as exact timestamps. And you'll also notice that the customer name in this video was not mentioned in the audio, but rather shown in the video. So Bedrock Data Automation can extract text insights or text or words or text lines that are present within the videos. So even without any audioless video or transcriptless video that you want to process with Bedrock Data Automation, it can still extract great insights from it. In the next section of the demo, we'll focus on multi-agent collaboration. Now, before we move on with asking the application more questions, let me explain how this entire application is powered by a multi-agent architecture using Amazon Bedrock agents. At the core of this application is a supervisor agent that receives user questions and determines which of the specialized collaborator agents that it's connected to need to be invoked. And we have two collaborator agents. The first collaborator agent is a knowledge base retrieval agent that queries Bedrock knowledge bases to generate answers, like we saw in the previous section. The supervisor agent also collaborates with another agent called the support agent that can escalate issues and create support tickets when human intervention is needed, for example. This architecture demonstrates how Bedrock agents can be composed to create complex intelligent systems that handles different types of user queries or user interactions. So in the previous example, when we asked about creating a Bedrock agent, the supervisor agent determined that this was an information retrieval query, and it collaborated with the knowledge base retrieval agent, and the agent then retrieved information from the underlying knowledge base, generated answers along with timestamps and citations, and provided it to the supervisor agent, which in turn sent it to the application. Now, let's demonstrate how the support agent collaboration with the supervisor agent works. We'll start with a question. Now, I wanted to understand, or I have issues with accessing my AWS account. And when I ask this question, this is a type of question that could require a human in the loop involvement. So you'll notice how the application's behavior changes here. So the supervisor agent, based on the question, determined that this issue is critical and it requires escalation. And instead of trying to troubleshoot it based on the information that it gets through knowledge base agent, it instead immediately invoked the support agent, and it started creating a support ticket. So it created a ticket and it asked for the user for additional information that can then be aligned or added to the ticket. And as soon as the user, that is when I provided additional information, it updated the ticket with the most status, and it invoked or it interacted with the database that holds all the existing tickets, and it checks for duplicates and then adds this new ticket to the database. So not only information retrieval, you can also update systems like databases or any other tools or actions using agents. And using the same application, users can find existing tickets, get information about specific tickets, or even close one or more tickets, all through natural language interaction. To summarize what we have demonstrated today, Nova Sonic Speech-to-Speech allows you to interact with your application using truly conversational voice interface that can handle interruption, pauses naturally, and can even leverage tools for both retrieving information and performing actions. We also saw how we can use Bedrock data automation with Bedrock knowledge bases for multimodal Q&A. And we also saw how multi-agent collaboration in Bedrock can help you create a system that transcends your applications beyond just a chatbot, but actually make it think and execute actions based on the user's intent and queries. So with that, I'll hand this over to Yuli.
Great. Thank you, Raj. I'm gonna share my screen again now. Give me 1 second. Oops. I think this is not the right one. This is the correct one. Okay, so you guys can see it. Great. Thank you so much, Raj, for the presentation. Um, so if you are interested to experiment and evaluate this solution, right, you can use this source code that we put over here. We'll include it as well when we send you the email after this workshop, right, so that you can experiment with this solution directly. This is a one-click deployable solution, right? So you can just download it and then you can upload your own data. You can feed in with your own data and start experimenting with it, right? And customize it further for your need. So we want to open it up also for more Q&A. We got a lot of questions in the Q&A, and we're in the Q&A chat window. And and we are trying to answer those questions, as fast as possible. And we're going to pick out some of those questions and answer it verbally as well over here, okay? But last but not least, while we do that, right? I want to discuss regarding the next step, right? So as I mentioned, try the demo, evaluate the one-click deployable solution that we have already provided, and start the pilot project. Connect with us, in AWS or with Loka. Loka is a great partner. If you need any support and you are doing a POC, let us know. We can help you, give guidance, right? And you can then after that refine and optimize based on your results, right? So we offer for a free Gen AI consultation, right? So scan this QR code, and if you need a deeper dive discussion, I know in the Q&A there is a lot of people who have a questions regarding Amazon Nova Sonic and Amazon Connect, right? So I already give the answers to some of you, but I think we probably need to have a deeper dive discussion, right? So scan this QR code, right, and let us know the specific topic, and I will get it scheduled, right, with our specific specialists from Amazon Connect as well as from Amazon Nova Sonic team, right? I know some of you are asking questions regarding the open source software that can be open source tool that can be used to evaluate all these different type of foundation models, right? I give you the link for those open source tool that you can use, right? It's called Flow Thoughts, right? And we can put the information also in the follow-up as well, right? You can also figure out what kind of chunking algorithm that you want to use, what kind of chunking size that you want to use using that tool, right? So it is doing all of this comparison for you, right? So that we don't have to do it with our brain, among these hundreds different type of combination that we need to think about, right? Last but not least, right, join us in the developer Slack channel. We just starting like Amazon developer Slack channel, Amazon Desk AIML. Scan this QR code. So once you join in, then select the channel Amazon AIML. You can say hi for us over there, and we're gonna be more active over there moving forward, right? And with that said, I will put in also this link for giving us feedback, right, on this webinar today, right? And let us know if you have anything else that you want us to cover next time. But with that said, let's go over some of the question here. Let me look at some of the question here. No. We have several question here. Okay. So some of the question is, will this recording be available as a reference? Yes, we will provide you with the recording. And some of you were asking regarding the benchmark regarding Nova compared to Cloud, compared to OpenAI, compared to Gemini. So we can provide all of those benchmark as a follow-up as well in the follow-up email. How do you use a QR codes on a desktop? Oh, so you need to point your phone to the QR code and fill it out, right? That's the easiest way. But I can give you the QR code. So as well. So let me, Raj, do you mind like maybe trying to answer some of these questions while I am giving the people the link?
Yeah, sure. I've actually generated the link. I can post it in the chat. actually.
Correct.
Yeah.
So give the link in the chat.
Second.
So give us 1 second, okay? I cannot multitask while talking. Let me give you the. This is the survey link. For feedback, right? That's a feedback survey link. So please fill out that survey link. And Raj, can you give the source code if you have that handy?
Yeah, I've pasted in the source code in the chat window. No, if
It's-
it's still not working.
It's you need to send it to everybody, to everyone.
Yeah, I did.
Send to everyone. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of Novasonic, right? It is coming with Connect in the near future, right? We don't have a date yet for that. So if you have specific questions regarding Novasonic and you're using Amazon Connect right now, right? So please fill out that previous link. So let me go back to that previous link, to have a deeper dive discussions, we'll bring in this free Gen AI consultation. So fill this one out. So that we can bring in the Amazon Connect and the Amazon Novasonic, right? We have this discussion with many customers regarding this at the moment as well. So just fill that one out and we'll schedule for the deeper dive discussion, okay? So is there any limit to the number of PDA KB within an application? This is a question from Matthew. Raj, can you take that?
Sure.
So the question from Matthew is there any limit to the number of PDA KB? I mean, I think it refers to Bedrock Data Automation Knowledge Base, right? I think within an application.
Yeah, so Bedrock data automation and knowledge bases have their own limits. Let me get the question right. So, it's a question about integrating both, or
Yeah, I think we need to have a clarification here. What kind of limit, right? That they meant?
yeah, I can paste the limits for both of the services like here in the chat window, but we can expand on like the limits or any specifics about like what limits that you would expect to hit. Like, yeah, we can try to focus on that.
So the question from Jude, there has to be a human entered metadata piece to map certain question to certain tools. Um, I think these probably require a deeper dive discussion, Jude. So feel free to, select this, free Gen AI consultation, right? So that we can just have like a quick, 10 minutes or 15 minutes and get your answers correctly. Unless Raj can understand, what is the question here. So his question is there has to be, and you saw the question, right, Raj, in the Q&A? There has to be a human entered metadata piece. Not really sure.
Right. So the human entered metadata piece to map certain questions to certain tools. So I'll try to answer that, but to let us know if the answer doesn't align with what you're looking to know. So the agent, they work based on instructions. So based on the instruction that we provide, we can guide the agent to answer or use a specific tool or map a specific type of question to use a certain tool. So for example, in the agents that we use in the demo, we provide like an agent instruction where we give it a set of examples of critical issues like account issues or loss of data. So if the agent finds any similarities in the user's questions to those type of instructions or examples that we gave it, it would in turn invoke the specialized agent or any of the specialized tools that we assign to the agent. So it can be handled through instructions. So the better the instructions are more clear with more examples, the better the agent would be mapped to use certain tools or even certain specialized agents.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this webinar. Appreciate your time. We look forward to have a deeper dive discussion with some of you, right? We look forward to meeting you in person as well as in future webinars. If you need a deeper dive discussion, again, scan this QR code, right, and contact us, and we'll send you the follow-up information as well. Fill out the survey feedback if you have not. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We hope to